Hi everyone. So I just wanted to have a little sit down chat rather than like my normal body shop stuff. I'm not taking on any vlog. You're not going on an adventure with me today apart from with life. So I apologise for hopefully the lighting and everything's all good. I'm filming it straight from my Mac, so hopefully that you can see on my glasses is all good. Um, so this is for World Mental Health Day, which is today, the day you're watching it. So Thursday, the 10th of October, and it's a day that you can look at um, various mental illnesses across the world. It's designed to reduce stigma, and it's a really important day, really, because people talk about their experiences. So, some of you may know this, most people probably won't that's watching this, unless you know me like in the real world. I've briefly mentioned it in other videos, but I don't know if you'll have watched that. So I'm officially diagnosed with OCD and anxiety. I have had these traits, characteristics since I was a child, and throughout middle school and things, I would get severe panic attacks. I really struggled to eat at school. I wouldn't I wouldn't go to the toilet there for a start. And there's so many characteristics, which I'll talk a bit later on. OCD, I find, is quite misunderstood. People always say, "Oh, I have a little bit of OCD." Um, you either have it or you don't. It doesn't work like that. So I want to use this time to sort of go through what it's like for me and what other people experience. In terms of mental illness in general, it's so important that we open up and talk to people. It's affecting more and more people these days. In fact, it's 1 in 4 people will have a mental illness. 1 in 10 between the ages of, let me check. I took notes, so I was ready with proper statistics. You didn't think I was just making stuff up. This is from the OMS, so the Office of National Statistics. This is for the UK. So 1 in 10 children between 5 to 16 has a diagnosable mental illness, which is concerning. But I was one of those one of those stats before I got older, and it's quite well known now that suicide is sadly one of the biggest killers for men up to the age of 49. It's particularly bad for the 25-year-old age range, like between like 10 to 24-year-old females, it's higher. But overall for men, it's the highest. In fact, they account for 3/4 of the UK's suicide rates. So I can't stress enough, like, if you're watching this and you ever think like that, please talk to someone. There's always someone that you will listen, whether it's a stranger or a family, friend member, doctor, anyone. Like, you're never alone. I just want to stress that. So there are trigger warnings, should have said that right at the start, but what can I say? I don't always think things 100% through. I just went straight in with it because I've been putting this off for a long time. In fact, I'm filming this when it's pretty much Thursday. It's such a scary thing to talk about this online, in case it's backlash. I'm not doing this for attention. I don't, like, I'm at a point of my life where I just sort of accept that this is me, this is who I am. I'm getting considerably a lot better than I was with my OCD. My anxiety is still quite bad, so I have my textured cushion, which helps actually with anxiety. So I play with it. I have fiddle cubes and things at work. There's so many ways that I use to manage it. Overall, unfortunately, mental illness is on the uprise. Um, suicide in general has been on a downward trend since the 80s. However, there was an increase last year. It's not clear yet until we have 2019 and 2020 stats to know if that's the start of a new trend or if last year was a one-off, because overall it's been a gradual decline. This is actually something that I'm quite interested in. So my degree is actually in sociology. My dissertation was on mental illness. It was around the anorexic community. So this sort of thing I have looked at into great depth. Suicide is something we studied. Um, I studied during my A levels, and in general, I personally don't experience depression, so I can't speak on that front. There are times in my life where I have got an extremely um, sort of lost faith, because OCD is such a turbulent thing. It really does affect your life. So, for example, I emptied the bin for the first time in my life 2 years ago, and that is a massive deal. Absolutely like groundbreaking. It was the first time I had ever emptied a bin. I've lived in my flat for 6 years. How I did before, my partners have always emptied the bin. Um, Friends would come empty the bin, family would empty the bin. Anything, I couldn't do it. But then it got to a point where I couldn't use the bin at all, so I wouldn't make anything that would require the bin. So I also didn't want to cook because I didn't want to contaminate my kitchen. It makes me really funny about food, to the point where when I was younger, it could have been flipped, and I could have been diagnosed with an eating disorder rather than OCD, but the obsession was around food control, not eating it, or because I didn't want to contaminate it. It's quite a big deal for me to make food for someone as well, because mine is around other people more than myself. So, what OCD is. I just sort of went on a little ramble there. I may edit out, probably won't, because I want you guys to see the real situation. So OCD, it stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. So you have obsessions and compulsions. Now, I saw an interesting explanation of it on the Mind website. Now, Mind is amazing. It's a mental health charity. I did a skydive for them. I'm going to talk about it more later. They explained it as it's not about being tidy. It's about having no control over your negative thoughts. It's about being afraid of not doing things a certain way and that it will cause some sort of harm. And that's exactly how I can feel. I'm at a phase where it's not about cleanliness. I don't have so much contamination OCD at this stage of my life. I'm a perfectionist. I have technically, it's perfectionistic contamination OCD. That's what a therapist in the past labelled me as. So I struggle with, if I think something's not going to be perfect, or if I'm not going to be perfect at something bad will happen. Or if I don't, it could be something stupid. I can't walk underneath, I can't really walk underneath those signs, that have road signs on. I can't really walk underneath them. I have no problems with walking on cracks. Drains is a struggle for me still. I can't. What else can't I do? I'm getting way better at using public toilets. So, for example, last year? I think it was. Last year, I used a toilet at a public train station for the first time ever. That's a massive deal. I was so proud of myself. and I write it all down. So I have got like I have a journal that I kept sort of pre-therapy, because I find writing stuff down can help clear my mind. I have a journal that I had to do whilst I was doing therapy. So I've done a few things. I've done like standard talking therapy. I've done CBT. I did exposure therapy, which did not work for me at all, and it makes you worse before you get better. I couldn't handle it. I wasn't at a point where I could do exposure therapy. And I did ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. That was my last one. And that one's the one that helped me empty a bin. And I continue that with me to this day. Essentially, this is why I'm so much like, yeah, this is who I am. And it's just what makes me unique, essentially. There's areas that I want to improve on. However, I choose to focus on what I have achieved in the time frame rather than thinking, oh, I still can't do that. But I wanted to give you examples of what I can do, just to give you perspective. So I will obsess over a certain thought. Like if I like for example, it's like if I walk underneath this sign, my sister will die. Mine's all orientated around death, so that's an example. So I will actively avoid doing that. For example, in historically, this was way back when, in case my former boss watches, I've been late to work because I couldn't push the button to, the button to cross the road. I couldn't push it. So I was late because I couldn't cross that road, and that was the only way to get there. I had to cross, I had to wait for someone else just so happened to be crossing the road. It took considerably longer than it would normally before I could go. I've been stuck in shops before where I couldn't open the door to leave and it wasn't automatic. That's quite awkward, but you just sort of linger near the door like you're looking at something. You probably look like you're trying to steal something, and then someone happens to go through, and then you use that opportunity to go through the door. I found so many ways to get around it, but now I can most of the time touch the door with like a sleeve, which is a big deal. Sometimes with my actual hand, like in the summer, which is an incredible thing. And then I have my compulsion side. And this is what you do to alleviate your obsessions, your anxiety. This is where the cleaning conception comes from, because you're clean and you know you're okay. This is where I'm a bit like, I need to make sure I'm careful how I say this, because it can come across wrong. So for some people it's simply tapping. I would hold my breath. I would think a certain thing over and over and over again if I didn't do it, it would cause something to happen. To alleviate it, that's if I had to do something. I'm very, very, very particular with toilets. I didn't let people use the toilet in my house for a while, and I would actively avoid it, wouldn't invite people to my house. To this day, I don't particularly like it, but I've sort of accepted that you have to let people use your loo. And it's fine, I just clean it. It can be expensive. Like I would spend anything between £50-60 a week on cleaning products, sometimes more, never less. I still spend a fair bit, but here we are. And then there's certain things that it's a bit particular on. Like I don't like it if something's changed. If I like to sit on the same place on the train. I think if I stay on that train, that same seat, it will alleviate this obsessive thought that I have that essentially I'm in a box of germs and something bad is going to happen. If I'm sat on this spot, I know that it's going to be okay. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, and this is how you sort of like, I'm aware that things that I do is stupid and it sounds absolutely obscene. However, this is why it's an illness. It's not like a habit, it's not a lifestyle choice. I don't choose to be like this, and that's what makes us different to people who are when they say they're a bit OCD because they really like clean environments. It's completely different. I do like clean environments, and I think it helps keep clarity of mind. However, I don't choose to potentially spend like 2 hours cleaning my toilet. That's what it can be like, and it is bad, but it's who we are. So, anyone that's out there that experiences um, this sort of thing, if this makes any sense, I have absolutely no idea. I've rambled. My anxiety is quite high right now, I'm going to be quite honest, because I've never done this before, and I know I should really watch it back to like do some sort of editing, but I don't really want to because I don't want to watch it, because I'm trying very hard to not lose my composure. I am going to have to pause this soon though, because I need to have a cup of tea because I didn't make one before. But I have things that help. Ultimately, when you ever feeling slightly like you just can't really cope. So I burn out a lot because if I either do something or I don't. There is no in between. I don't half do anything. If I'm doing something, I am giving it my absolute all, which is why I find doing YouTube videos quite difficult sometimes, because I know this could be so much better if I had like either the skills, the technical capabilities, um, so many ways, and it really gets me down. This is why it's taken me so long. You can see my cat's tail. It's taken me so long to do it, but this little munchkin here actually has been a considerable help. I firmly believe that's why my OCD is calmed down to the point where I can do things that I wouldn't be able to do, and I can't actually do this level of cleaning in my house that I did before, because the chemicals would be so bad for him, if that makes sense, that it just wouldn't be viable. Like, I have to, I can't do it. It's dangerous. Like, the amount of fumes. Like, I, I still like it. When you walk through my door, I now have it so you smell scentsy stuff. But if you couldn't smell bleach when you walked through my door, it wouldn't be right. I wouldn't have been home. I wouldn't have been. But there's so many things that have helped. Thor's helped. Doing the body shop at home is, I firmly think that kept me alive, because when I joined, I couldn't really leave the house. I had like blisters on my hands, like where it's burned from using chemicals so much, because I couldn't really use gloves because I felt like the gloves weren't clean on the inside, or there was something wrong with the gloves on the inside. It's made me go out there. I've met people, and most importantly, it's given me a bunch of people who I can turn to talk to, which is one of the most important things. And that's why World Mental Health Day exists. It is to get you to talk, to raise awareness, reduce that stigma, and share your experiences, guys. Like, if you've got an illness, tell people about it. If you've experienced it, maybe as a friend or anything, share that experience. Maybe don't name and shame, because I don't think they'll appreciate that, but share it. Share any of your experiences today. That is my challenge to you. And most importantly of all, look after yourselves. So much important. I have got routines that's not so much like, they aren't compulsions anymore. I have a whole night routine that I've somehow managed to make it so I'm not really that obsessed about it, but I can't go to sleep if I haven't done it. So it's sort of it's not it can get a bit bad, increase my anxiety levels if I haven't done it, because I feel like I'm not going to sleep properly if I don't have that. But that's why I have the routine. It makes you sleep, makes me know to get ready for bed. It makes me sleep a lot better. I used to, before I had my migraine neurological issue start, I would not sleep at all. I would probably get like 3 or 4 hours sleep a night, and that's from like the high anxiety levels gives you so much energy, but then you suddenly crash it, and then it goes up again. You're so all over the place, and it just makes it worse because sleeping heals the brain. It's the time to regenerate. It's the time to refresh. Sleeping is so important to anything, and I think it has genuinely my migraine condition makes me sleepy more. Like, I get really bad fatigue, so because I'm sleeping and I have my routine to make my sleep better, I think that's genuinely helped have this. I think what's also helped is the fact that because I've got a neurological problem, I can't actually think about that much in one go. So before, I would have like a good 5 or 6 obsessive thoughts going on at one time, and they were fighting through, and sometimes they conflicted each other. Like, it's like, oh, if you I can't, I gotta think of one. Like, if you don't clean this toilet now, then Thor will die, my cat. Or then I'll have another one. It's like, no, 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 you need to clean the toilet in 20 minutes, otherwise he'll die. And they will conflict against each other, which made it worse. Whereas now, I can only have like 1 or 2 because my brain physically cannot handle more. So I think that has helped. And I did actually mention that at the doctors. I was like, I think it's actually helping um, the rest of it, because I genuinely can't comprehend that much going on at one time, which is bizarre. Um, so I don't really know what to do with that, but it's actually a great opportunity for me to further do my um, CBT, because the CBT, like, you got to do things that puts you in that situation to reduce the anxiety, and then gradually it stops. But because I can't have all of these thoughts going on, I can do it, and I can work through the stages, because I can no longer have any more therapy on the NHS. They've said that I've like had my allowance. I can't have any more. The only options I have is medication or private healthcare. Um, I can't have more therapy. I've done through quite a few, and they just don't think anything else will help. I've just got to work on it by myself, which admittedly doesn't actually help with feeling like you've got someone to turn to. But this is on the medical field, and I understand that it's stretched. And the way I see it is that there's someone who needs it more than I do as well. And there's such a long waiting list in my area anyway. For some places it's not that long. That there's people that were like how I was before, and I do know what I need to do roughly to be able to get where I need to go. But at the same time, I don't really know if I can improve really much more than I already do. It's, for me, it's more about managing and raising awareness. So what I challenge you to do is, firstly, donate to Mind if you can. They are actually the people who I did my therapy with. The government works with them, and they do talking therapies. I think the government pays a bit, and then money that you raise with Mind pays for a bit more. Um, and I did my skydive for them as well. So I've done it throughout my time doing this. I've raised about over £1,000 for this charity. So I'm going to put a link in the description box for their website. Check it out. Donate if you can. I can't stress that enough. Even if it doesn't affect you, you don't need therapy. You've watched me ramble for a very long time, and well done. I couldn't have done it, but please, well, I could, but please donate if you can, if you have the ability to spare some money, because they save lives. I don't think I would be here if I didn't have the therapy, the medication, and the support network that I have. I know I said I don't get depression. However, when my OCD flares up and my anxiety is really bad, which it has been a few times this year, it does make me get so low that it makes me get like that, and I realise, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, this cycle, the only way that this will go is if I'm gone, or where sometimes your obsessive thought goes into, oh, people are better off if I'm dead, or if I do this, it will cause this to not happen. Like, it's very like, sort of like you create the world, but it's not like that. But it does sound like that, and I am aware of that. But it's a very confusing experience. There'll be other other experiences on here. This was a very wishy-washy one. I did plan it out, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't go through I tried, I just couldn't. I was like, I'm just gonna have to sit and talk, because this is the only way this is gonna happen with my little cushion. So enjoy what I have created. And I hope it makes sense. So donate to Mind if you can. I'm gonna leave some links. Oh, hang on. Oh no. I think, is it that way? One of the sides, wherever the description box is going to be, to various things, if you want to read up a bit more about it. Look after yourself, keep your routines going, talk to people, please talk to people, share your experiences, because you're not alone. Chances are someone you know feels similar to you, or will at least understand or know someone who's experienced it. So I hope this made some sense. I may do more things about boosting your mental health on here. I do it quite a lot on my Instagram and my Body Shop at Home group, which I'll have links to both in the comments. All this week I've been doing challenges on both of them for things that will help with your mental health, and I hope that this was enlightening for someone. Please, for the love of God, though, do not say you have a little bit of OCD unless you have OCD. Or don't say, I could do with a little bit of OCD. You don't want what I have. I've not even gone into proper depth. I've just rambled. You don't even know the half of it. Maybe next year I'll go into more. So I will be on here soon with I think my next video is a tutorial, so watch out. Bye.